We are back. He is former Twin Trevor Plouffe. I am Alex Zappa. And today we are drafting the all-time Twins infield. Trevor, we're going around the diamond. First base, second base, shortstop, third, catcher. The catch is, we can only pick one, so there's going to be some legends left off of our teams. Trevor, let me hand it to you like this. I'm going to give you the number one pick. Again, anyone who's worn a Twins jersey is up for debate. I think there's three guys that you can't go wrong with. Do you see it that way, or is there a clear-cut number one to you?
I think there's a clear-cut number one for me because I look around, first base, second base, third base, shortstop. I think there's some options there, but you let me have the first pick, so I'm taking my guy. I was just there on the field. I was hanging with him, rubbing elbows, giving him hugs. I'm taking Joe Mauer as the greatest Twins catcher of all time, and it's pretty easy to do it. He caught for 10 years, an 873 OPS during those years as a catcher, 5 Silver Sluggers, 3 Gold Gloves, number retired, Twins Hall of Fame, and most likely Baseball Hall of Fame coming next. So I'm going with JoJo at my number one pick in the catcher slot, and I'm curious to see where you go with your selection.
You can't go wrong with Joe Mauer. He's won 3 batting titles as an AL catcher. No AL catcher has ever even won 1, so unprecedented what he could do with the bat and the glove. Number 1 on my big board, I'm going Rod Carew, Trevor, okay? Let me make the case. 18 straight All-Star appearances, absolutely incredible. 7 batting titles as a Minnesota Twin. He also won an MVP. A career 344 average with the Minnesota Twins, one of the best hitters in baseball history. A guy who at one point was chasing Ted Williams' record, batting above 400. He couldn't quite do it. I think he finished at 388 that season, but 388, it's really, Ted Williams, Rod Carew, Tony Gwynn, for me, the best hitters of all time. I'm going Rod Carew as my second baseman. Joe Mauer, Rod Carew off the board. Trevor, back to you. Who's number 3?
I like that pick with Carew. Obviously, he's the clear-cut guy at second base. Okay, there's a bunch of different ways we could go now. I think at first base, there's 3 really, really good options. But I'm gonna take our guy Killebrew. I mean, he for everything that he means to the Twins organization. Obviously number retired, obviously Hall of Fame, obviously all the homers, but he just had a presence too. And I was fortunate to be able to meet him in my early days with the Twins. And, he just exemplified exactly what the Twins want players to exemplify. He was good-natured, warm-hearted, welcoming, hard-working, and again, just an excellent person to bat. So I'm taking Killebrew with my second pick and my guy at first base.
Harmon Killebrew retired 5th all-time on the home run list. He now is 12th after the steroid era. We don't need to get into that. Okay, we'll leave that alone. 4th pick goes back to me. I'm going shortstop. Zoilo Versailles, okay? Played all the way back in the 60s and 70s. The first MVP in Minnesota Twins history. Okay, now, career OPS below 700. It was a different era. He won some Gold Gloves. He won a Silver Slugger. A guy who, on that 65 team, along with Killebrew, Bob Allison, I believe Jim Cott was on that team, lost to the Dodgers in the World Series, but nonetheless, a guy who, in Twins lore, looms large. A forgotten guy, I would say. So I got my middle infield cover. I got Carew. I got Versailles. You got some boppers, Trev. You got Mauer and Killebrew. I'm curious who you're going 5.
I think I'm going to go to my position here. And this one was really tough for me. You can go to Gary Gaetti. You can go to Corey Koski. I think I am going to go with Gary Gaetti. 4-time Gold Glovers, hit 20 homers 6 different times. To me, I love Corey Koski because he helped me defensively. He challenged me every day defensively. And he was an example of a guy that, wasn't a great defender to start, but became that. He could hit to boot, and he's a Canadian. We always love that. But Gaetti is, I think the overall numbers take over there for me. So I'm going to take Gaetti at third base. So now I got Mauer, I got Killebrew, and I got Gaetti. And now where are you going to go?
Listen, you got an all-star team, basically. Gary Gaetti, 2 consecutive seasons of 30-plus home runs, 100-plus RBIs. One of the mainstays of those World Series teams, 100%. There's a lot of directions I can go. We'll get to Corey Koski. We got some good stats about him. But I'm going to stick to my big board. I'm going back to the first page of my notes, and I have to go with Justin Morneau, okay? And it's him or Kent Herbeck. It's neck and neck. Hrbek played his whole career as a Minnesota Twin, a two-time World Series champion, but the peak of Justin Morneau, 4 consecutive All-Star games. And here's the deal, Trev, a fun career too. He won a batting title, he won a home run derby, he won an MVP. The guy did just about everything you could do. And barring a couple of concussions, I also wonder if he is a historically great player. He's a historically great Twin. He is certainly in contention for a Hall of Fame spot. But someone who, won a batting title, I think, in Colorado at 33, 34 years old. Someone who had some longevity, but as a Minnesota Twin, the M&M brothers, Mauer, Morneau in the middle of that lineup, one of the most exciting times to be a Twins fan. I can't not pick Justin Morneau. Apologies to Kent Hrbek, but I'm going with the Canadian. Trevor, we'll send it back to you. We only got a couple spots left. Who are you going with?
Can I take Kent Hrbek just so he doesn't get mad at both of us? I just saw him over the weekend. He's a big boy. If he sees this, he might be a little upset with us. Okay, shout out Morny there. I'm sorry I didn't pick you, but look, it's Harmon Killebrew, bro. Come on, you'll be okay. I'm going to go with second base now, and this one was a little iffy for me because you took Carew, and obviously he deserves that. To me, now it's between Dozier and Knobloch, and I'm just going to go with my buddy here. I'm going Brian. I hung out with him this weekend as well. We shared some times out on the lake, but I had a front row seat to his 42 homer season. It was something very incredible because he started off that year very slow. He even got benched in Kansas City by Paul Molitor, and then after that just went completely bananas. He's a handsome dude with the hair, kind of like yourself a little bit. If you could do the Dozier hair flip, you'd be in. I'm just telling you that right now, okay? So I'm taking Dozier with my second base pick, although Knobloch would have been a good choice. But to me, Doge was, he was a leader. He is a good guy. And again, I just was there for a lot of these moments, and I saw how he dominated the league from the leadoff position that year. If you threw a first pitch, it wasn't coming. A first pitch fastball strike, it wasn't coming back. It was a souvenir. So I'm giving it to Dozier.
It's an incredible pick. I think Chuck Knobloch, as a rookie, won the Rookie of the Year award in '91, was a huge part of that World Series team. He's the franchise leader in steals. But you talk about boppers, especially second baseman, typically a defensive position in the old school way of baseball. Dozier really changed the way we saw that position be played for the Minnesota Twins. It's a good pick, Trev. You had the inside scoop on it. You let us know about it. That's great. Apologies to Tim Laudner, who is on this network. We love Tim. I have to go with Brian Harper as a catcher. Trevor, familiarizing myself with his stats. In the '91 World Series, he batted .380. He was 8 for 21. Another thing with Brian Harper, a career .307 hitter for the Minnesota Twins from the catcher position. You just don't see that very often. Catcher, another position that's loaded in Twins history, tough to disseminate. I went with my guy Brian Harper. Trevor, if I have this right, we each have one pick left. Who is your last pick on your all-time Twins infielder list?
Well, we have now for me, the shortstop position is left, and I'm going to go with the guy, another one that I'm familiar with, another guy that works at this network here. I'm going with Roy Smalley, the fashion icon, World Series champ in 1987. He did make an all-star team, but more of, he could field the ball, but he also hit a little bit more than some of these shortstops in Twins history. 740 OPS for his career, 103 OPS plus. Smalley, another one of those guys that's been a great Twins ambassador throughout the years. You're familiar with his voice and his face because he's been doing TV for so long. Another guy who hung around the Turtle when I was playing in the big leagues and gave me advice. I went to him several different times and sought out advice from him, and he was always willing to share. So I have a soft spot in my heart for him, and obviously a heck of a player to boot. So I'm going with Roy Smalley, and that completes my team, and I really like it. Got to be honest with you.
It's a heck of a team. I don't know if I'm going to win this battle. Again, Roy Smalley, just a swagger to him that you can't not notice. And again, Trev, you flirted with shortstop too. You know shortstops, it's a heck of a pick. My last guy, you mentioned him earlier. He played your main position. Corey Koski, someone who was a part of all those Central winning teams in the 2000s. Here's the big stat with Corey Koski for me, Trevor. 6 consecutive seasons with an 800-plus OPS. You don't necessarily think of him as an elite power hitter, but a great gap hitter, a lot of doubles. Again, in 2001, hit 26 bombs, 103 RBIs, and 850 OPS. He's in the Canadian Baseball Hall of Fame, and he's second in WAR behind Gaetti for third baseman all-time in Twins history. So, Corey Koski, another Canadian, pour some maple syrup on it. My team is pretty sweet. Trevor, I think yours is too. Any final thoughts? Again, we didn't do DH. It's really Molitor. You got Ortiz is kind of down there. You got to think of a guy like Jim Thome and Nelson Cruz as well for DH. But overall, what do you think of your team?
I like it. I got to end up with Killebrew, Dozier, Gaetti, Smalley, and Mauer. And what I love about doing lists like this is we're not talking about guys who are, played and are gone. The Twins have done such a good job of keeping their alumni community together. And you're going to see these guys all around the park all the time. We just had a bunch of them in, obviously, for Mauer's HOF ceremony. But go to spring training, you're going to see these guys. Go to the park throughout the year, you're going to see these guys. It just really shows how special of an organization the Twins are, that these alumni keep coming back, keep giving their time and energy to the ball club.
And Trevor, although you just barely missed the Twins' all-time infield list, I think you are certainly in contention for the fan favorite list, which we might be doing later on this season. Who knows? Hey, he's Trevor Plouffe, zooming in from California. I'm Alex Zappa here in our downtown studio. And thank you all so much for watching our all-time Twins infield list. Whose team do you like more? Let us know.